Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this virtual event today. My name is Janet Manuel, and I am the head of HR and a Gender Equity Commissioner for the City of Pittsburgh. I am a Black female, and I am wearing a black dress with pearl earrings and a pearl necklace, and my pronouns are she and her. It is my pleasure to welcome you as the City of Pittsburgh celebrates and announces November as Pittsburgh Women's Pay Equity Month. We are not only calling out the disparities and inequities in pay for Black women, but also for all women in Pittsburgh. More importantly, we want to share with you about the launch of city-sponsored initiatives to support the closing of the gender pay gap and our partnership with AAUW, American Association of University Women, to help us implement these initiatives. I want to acknowledge my two colleagues, Sarah Hansen and Amanda NEATROUR, who collectively, we are the Workforce Equity Committee within the Gender Equity Commission, who worked on this project to bring promising practices to Pittsburgh. You are in for a treat today as we have several esteemed speakers who will address why this topic is so important and that now is the time for the City of Pittsburgh to address it. You will hear from Amanda NEATROUR, one of my colleagues, Sarah Hansen, another colleague, and these two women are also Gender Equity Commissioners. After them, we will have the privilege of hearing from our Deputy Chief of Staff and Chief Equity Officer, Majestic Lane, from the Office of Equity. You will also hear from our Gender Equity Commissioner, our Gender Equity Commission Executive Director, Anu Jan. We have some wonderful community partners. We appreciate them coming to share with you why they support this initiative and why they too believe it is important. From Adagio Health, we have the CEO. Not only is she the CEO, but she is also a Pennsylvania Commission for Women Commissioner, PJ Lever. We have the CEO of Partner for Work, Earl Buford. And what a great pleasure to have the CEO, Kimberly Churches of American Association of University Women, and Senior Vice President, Gloria Blackwell. And really to tie it all up, we have our Honorable Mayor, William Peduto. He will end this great event for us. You'll hear from the commissioners where we will ask for you to have and join us in this call for action. And then afterwards, we have the esteemed media here, and we will invite them to ask questions. So that way they can share more news with everyone in Greater Pittsburgh about this event. At this time, it is my pleasure to turn this over to Amanda NEATROUR.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Janet stated, my name is Amanda NEATROUR. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am a Black woman wearing a blue geometric dress with a silver necklace and silver earrings. I am also the director of the Women's Leadership and Mentorship Program at Robert Morris University, and also an artist activist here in the city of Pittsburgh. And of course, very proud and excited to be a member of the City of Pittsburgh's Gender Equity Commission, where I have had the privilege of serving from its inception. Workforce equity is at the heart of ending white supremacy and the patriarchal systems that have long overlooked the needs and advancement opportunities and equitable pay for women, Black, Indigenous, women of color, trans women, and women with disabilities in the workforce. In Pittsburgh, the pay gap between Black women and white men is greater than the national average, so that Black women must work until November 6th to make what a white man made in 2019 alone. The Workforce Equity Committee, with the support of the full commission, has identified and established proposed initiatives to support a more equitable workforce culture in our region. When the Gender Equity Commission was formed, Mayor Peduto charged us with seeking innovative ways to assist and advise city leadership on how to make our city workforce and region more equitable and accessible by identifying and combating gender-based barriers. He specifically charged us with looking to other cities, those who are doing the work, doing it well, and bringing those ideas back to Pittsburgh. And of course, take it a step further to, as my colleague Janet Manuel likes to say, Pittsburghize it. In response to this charge, in March 2019, the Gender Equity Commission voted to form an ad hoc committee specifically dedicated to exploring what other cities were doing to combat identity-based discrimination in the workplace, especially focusing on the gender pay gap. We, the Workforce Equity Committee, were very impressed by the work happening in the city of Boston, Massachusetts. We engaged in frequent and supportive communication with the Office of Women's Advancement and the Office of the Mayor of Boston, the Boston Women's Workforce Council, and the American Association of University Women, also known as AAUW, among other experts, human rights activists, and local workforce development conveners. Ultimately, we proposed to the Gender Equity Commission that we adapt our Pittsburgh version of the City of Boston's three-pronged approach to pay equity.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sarah Hansen. I go by she, her, they, them pronouns. I am a genderqueer individual, and I have had the privilege of working in workforce development in the Pittsburgh region for over 10 years. Currently, I teach gender, sexuality, and women's studies at the University of Pittsburgh, and I am also an entrepreneur, starting Interchange Group, which is a consulting and research firm dedicated to inclusive and equitable change strategy. Our committee defines workforce equity as fair treatment, access, opportunity, and advancement for all people due to the absence of avoidable bias and the presence of person-centered, positive, and generative structural supports that promote valuing difference and intentionally include marginalized and intersectional groups of people. Here in Pittsburgh, our three-pronged approach is first to empower individuals through providing AAUW WorkSmart training free of charge to all City of Pittsburgh residents. WorkSmart is one piece that fits within a larger continuum of economic equity services. As workforce development agencies in Pittsburgh seek broader solutions and services to support their clients in accessing opportunity and building assets, particularly through and post the COVID-19 pandemic, we assert that negotiation training is an accessible and effective value add, and we are so excited to be announcing the launch of training today. We know too well that building individual skills and improving access to services or even to opportunities is only one part of the overall solution to workforce equity. Thus, the second prong of our approach focuses on systems level change. We are working to create a Pittsburgh Workforce Equity Council as a strategic alliance between the city government, regional employers, educators, human rights activists, community-based organizations, and any resident of the region who is within or affected by the labor market. This council will intentionally emphasize and promote intersectional equity in the workplace with priority given to gender and race as a launching point. Accordingly, it will oversee the coming Pittsburgh Workforce Equity Commitment, a pledge that we are building for employers to sign, committing to actively strive to close the gender pay gap and eradicate discrimination based on gender, race, and sexuality in the workplace. The second initiative will launch in 2021, and we hope to share with you more updates in the future. Finally, the third prong of our approach is using data from both initiatives to measure progress that Pittsburgh is making to close the wage gap and expand workforce equity practices, as well as key factors that are influencing this progress. Through this work and through engaging with workforce development agencies, employers, and folks throughout the Pittsburgh community, the Gender Equity Commission will develop policy recommendations to advance workforce equity in Pittsburgh. These are the three prongs that collectively comprise our workforce equity initiative.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Majestic Lane. Pronouns are he and his. I am the Deputy Chief. I'm honored to serve as the Deputy Chief of Staff and Chief Equity Officer for Mayor William Peduto. And it's truly an honor to be here to be a part of this unveiling of such an important program and a program that is needed so much, but also shows what happens when citizens come together to work with government, to work with businesses, to work with nonprofits, to really get at some of the bigger challenges that our society faces. And, you know, frankly, there's no bigger challenge that our city faces right now than looking at the quality of life, not limited to, but including for Black women in this region. Last year, there was a report that came out commissioned by the University of Pittsburgh in tandem with the Gender Equity Commission that essentially asserted that this was the worst place to be in the city and in the country for Black women. And so, you know, while there was a lot to be said about that report, one of the things that we were able to do is start to look at where can the city have a real impact? Where can the city make a change? And the Gender Equity Commission has always been steadfast in leading and looking at what are the actionable items that can be done to make sure that we're making Pittsburgh a better place for all women, for all genders, for all forms of sexuality, for everyone that's here in citizenry. So, you know, when you look at this Gender Equity Workplace Council and this collaboration, just know that it's one part of a broader strategy along with our work around guaranteed income that we're looking to roll out in 2021 that will focus explicitly on African American women, and as well as our engagement with investing millions of dollars into organizations that teach entrepreneurship and engage entrepreneurship for Black women. These are parts of the things that cities know that they can do, that we can't sit back and look at data and not make a change once we know that the data is in, and that people's lives are negatively impacted because of their gender, because of their sexuality, because of their race, and because of where they are. And you know, the mayor can speak for himself, but I'm honored to be in an administration that can partner with so many people to take a best practice like this one and be able to apply it and then be able to really see the change to make this a most livable city for every resident. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anupama Jan. I am the Executive Director for the Gender Equity Commission, and I'm really excited to be here, and I want to thank especially our AAUW partners and commissioners Hansen, Manuel, and NEATROUR, who have done an incredible amount of work to get us to this point. As Chief Lane mentioned, we are just over a year after the release of the report, Pittsburgh's Inequality Across Gender and Race, the PIGR report. Black Pittsburghers have been testifying for a long time about the two Pittsburghs, one that is most livable, as routinely voted, and the other one that harshly exposes centuries of racial oppression in the US in its microcosm in our city. The report confirmed unacceptable rates of inequalities, among other issues, maternal and infant mortality for Black women. And the Gender Equity Commission is committed to enabling all people in our city to have access to leadership roles in and support from city government. And so looking at that report, what we found were that there are certain areas that city government can have the most dramatic impact in making change. And those include poverty and employment, occupational segregation, low wages, histories of oppression leading to neighborhoods without investment. These are things that we need to address. We take an approach of targeted universalism. We know that when we look at those who are most in need of support, that we will be helping all people in our city. And this is one of many programs that takes that same approach. Trainings to empower individuals are open to all Pittsburghers. We know they also have a really beneficial effect for women who face challenges in the workplace, including in salary negotiations, leading to lower lifetime salaries. And so the PIJR report gave us a look at our city that was very hard for many of us, but it also gave us a path forward. Where can we make change? Where can we make change that is impactful? And how can we work together in coalition with wonderful partners like AAUW, Adagio, and Partner for Work, from whom you'll hear, working in coalition to really combat the problems that we face, that we've inherited, and so that we can look forward together to a city that is no longer two Pittsburghs, but one Pittsburgh. That supports all of us, people of all genders, and especially those identified as women and girls whose stories we're going to be learning more and more about. Thank you so much.
Hi, everybody. I am BJ Leber. I'm the president and CEO of Adagio Health. It's really nice to be here. I'm wearing two hats today. The other hat that I'm wearing today is as a member of the Pennsylvania Commission for Women. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of information about the commission. It is a diverse group of women representing all the corners of the Commonwealth, appointed by Governor Wolf. Our chair is Randy Teplitz, who's a law professor at Widener in Harrisburg, and our honorary chair is First Lady Frances Wolf. And the group is charged with working on behalf of women and girls on the policy level, both local and state. So it's a really great active group. The three primary goals of the group are to provide a voice and to empower women and girls, to advocate and promote for policies and legislation that will make a difference, and to serve as a resource for issues impacting women and girls. And today we're here specifically to talk about wage equality, which is one of the priorities of the Commission for Women. And the Commission has had a long-term partnership with the AAUW, which has been terrific, and which in many ways led to Adagio Health being able to do some work locally, and then to today's news, which is really very, very exciting. And I know that you're going to hear a lot from AAUW. I just wanted to give you a few statistics about the issue of the minimum wage in Pennsylvania. That is a very important policy issue for Governor Wolf, and it is an issue that the Pennsylvania Commission for Women is very interested in. And so I just wanted to share with you that, and you know most of this, but it's important enough to emphasize, women make up about 75% of the minimum wage and tipped workers in our economy. The minimum wage in Pennsylvania is at the federally mandated minimum, which is $7.25 an hour, and it has not gone up in over a decade. So a full-time minimum wage worker earns $14,500 annually, and that's more than $4,500 below the federal poverty limit for a mother with 2 children. And we are only one of 2 states in the Northeast that has a minimum wage at this level. So in June of 2018, Governor Wolf signed an executive order that increased the minimum wage for state workers to $12 an hour with incremental increases that'll take it up to $15. And he has put this in the budget, but it has not passed. So 6 times the governor has attempted to raise the minimum wage, and knowing Governor Tom Wolf, he will stay with it. So it's something that the commission supports. Now I'm going to put my Adagio Health hat. And just for you who don't know, let you know that we are a health and wellness organization, and we primarily take care of women who are uninsured or underinsured. Everything from basic adult health care to reproductive health to nutrition and WIC to education. About 70% of our patients are from at-risk or vulnerable populations, and 60% of the folks who come to Adagio Health get no other health care. So the question is, why does Adagio Health, which is primarily a health and wellness organization, become involved in a program to support gender equity? We are a safety net organization, and as you all know, it's about quality of life, it's about housing, it's about insurance, it's about pay equity, it's about the ability to have a successful career, it's about the ability to have children if and when we want to. And so it's very important to us to strengthen the safety net. And one way that we felt would be a great way to strengthen the safety net was to offer the AAUW program. So we're just absolutely thrilled to be a part of this. Thank you, Janet and Sarah and Anu, for your enthusiasm and your tenacity in getting this done during a pandemic. And to our AAUW partners who have been terrific partners, and to Mayor Peduto for your vision and for your support of this important initiative. It's so important, especially right now when women and women of color are being impacted disproportionately by the economic challenges that COVID has presented us with. So we are just thrilled to work with all of you and really glad to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, BJ. And I know that we have Earl Buford, who is the president and CEO. He will address us next. He's another community partner. Welcome, Earl.
The ever forgotten mute button, correct? All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Earl Buford. I'm the Chief Executive Officer at Partner for Work, which is the local workforce development board for the city of Pittsburgh and Allegheny County. My pronouns are he and his, and I'm just really excited and proud to be a part of this group. One of the things I wanted to just get across to everyone is the role of Partner for Work as the workforce board and the steward of federal workforce dollars that come into this community is to really create a better pathway for employers to connect to job seekers and job seekers to connect to employers. And while that's the traditional way of workforce development, we, along with all of you, are trying to think of things differently. And I think that the thing about this pandemic and the social justice happening in this country right now is we have to have true conversation, a real conversation about how this happens. And so one of the things we're pushing hard on in our work with our employers, particularly because our customer base and our client base is overwhelmingly African-American people of color, and the growing female sector of the job search is growing. So we're starting to have more job quality conversations and equity conversations with our employers, not just on the front line, but also what are their business practices. And along with those conversations, we're also having those internal conversations with us as an organization. Now, we're a $25 million workforce board, so that makes us a pretty nice sized, mid-sized company with about 50 employees. And so we recently created our own equity pledge and diversity pledge within our organization. As a matter of fact, I'm joined on this call by our Director of Outreach and Inclusion, Marquise Long. And because you can't walk this walk if you're not also living that way. And so we're excited to start to really change the paradigm in these conversations from a workforce strategy standpoint and from an actuality standpoint. And I'm excited to communicate what we're thinking, but also to learn from what you all are doing, what you're seeing, and bring those practices to the world of workforce development. So thank you, Janet, and the mayor for your leadership on convening this all, but also moving this conversation forward in a strong, meaningful way, and actually a real way. So thank you.
Thank you, Earl. And so next we have the privilege and honor of having Kim Churches, who's the president and CEO of AAUW.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be with you all. Special thanks to Mayor Peduto for your vision, to the Mayor's Office of Equity, and to the Gender Equity Commission for all you're doing on behalf of the people of Pittsburgh. I really applaud the city for being so proactive in this time. Look, this has been a year like no other, challenging in a multitude of ways, but that you're so committed to taking a multi-pronged approach to closing the wage gap once and for all, and to ensure positive change that will help not just women, but their families, and ultimately employers and the city's economy. We're proud to be a partner in such an important endeavor, especially at a time when we know women need so much help and support they can get. Look, women are the front line. The women of Pittsburgh are on the front line during this pandemic, and this economy is unlike 2008, 2009. During the COVID-19 pandemic and the subsequent downturn of the economy, we've seen more women have to leave the labor force. We know that women make up the majority of part-time workers. Women are the essential workers. We're the majority of healthcare workers. We're the majority of service workers, of grocery line workers, et cetera. And we know that through this partnership, we're going to be able to help women realize their full potential and help the city become even more equitable place for all. This is not just a win for women, it's a win for all of Pittsburgh. The pilot program we're starting has the potential to empower 7,500 women with tools to become their own best advocate in the marketplace, whether they are hourly wage earners or salaried. The joint partnership is a step in the right direction towards equitable change for women in Pittsburgh. And we know that workplace paradigms, not just in Pittsburgh, but nationwide, have been stuck in what I call a Norman Rockwellian image, you know, one of those old paintings of how we thought families were structured. But we know that's not the case in the 21st century, as women make up half the labor force today and are helping to drive our economies here in Pittsburgh and around the country. As you probably know all too well, you've been reading the same things I've been reading. We've been hit badly by this pandemic. The story in the last 24 hours in the New York Times had a lead that showed that women face a triple whammy right now. The first was losing jobs in the sectors where we're already overrepresented, restaurants, retail, the travel industry, et cetera, and service. Another blow followed with furloughs and layoffs in local and state government, where women still outnumber men. And then the big blow has really been the closing of childcare centers, the lack of access to childcare, and the shift to remote schooling, the burden of which still falls much harder on women. All of this is on top of the fact that we know women are already economically disadvantaged, even as we're making up half the labor force. You heard earlier from Amanda talking about the persistent gender wage gaps in Pittsburgh. Nationally, I can tell you that women still earn 82 cents on average compared to every dollar a man earns. And for women of color, that gap is alarmingly wider. Black women on average nationwide earn 63 cents in the dollars, and Latinas, 55 cents. But sadly, yes, as Amanda shared, the gap is even wider in Pittsburgh right now, but I know through this partnership and through the work of so many, we will close it together. Right now, where Pittsburgh lands, it places Pittsburgh in the bottom quarter when ranking the nation's 25 major metropolitan areas, and that's not suitable for any of us. We know we can create the change we need. Sadly, the wage gap also starts 1 year out of college. If you can imagine, women have been out earning men in earning associate's degrees, bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, and doctoral degrees. And yet 1 year past your bachelor's degrees, women are earning 26% less than their male colleagues. That's not okay. So we know that these disadvantages can escalate over time, but our AAUW Work Smart program empowers women with the skills and the confidence they need to negotiate their own financial future. And not just their salary or wages, but also the right benefits and workplace practices that will allow them to shine and grow. Through our program, we're unleashing the power of education and training to really address the wage gap that denies women economic security. But salary negotiation, as you've already heard from so many, is just one piece of a multi-pronged approach. We know we need to empower educational institutions and employers to kind of remove the educational segregation and occupational segregations and open our eyes to a new future. We also need stronger laws at a local municipal level, at the state level, and at the federal level. I can tell you that AUW is advocating very, very strongly for passing the Paycheck Fairness Act at a federal level. And why? Because the Equal Pay Act was passed in 1963. And while ostensibly it should have removed any sort of gap on wages, we know it has not, and we've stalled out in those efforts. And frankly, 1963 is in our rear view mirror. We really need to focus on the practices and policies that are needed in 2020 and beyond. The state of Pennsylvania also has some work to do. When compared to other states, its equal pay protections are sadly pretty weak. The state's equal pay laws need to be strengthened and modernized to meet your demography today and to meet the needs of everyone in Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh, though, I will say, thank you, Mayor, is leading the way. You're taking action right now and today and yesterday and tomorrow at the municipal level by passing a salary history ban which prohibits city agencies from asking applicants about their prior pay. And that is so critical in not just continuing a gap all the way through a woman's career. Folks, when we support women in their efforts to secure equal pay for equal work and advance, there's a direct positive impact, not just on themselves, but for their families. It's about their personal health, their safety, their overall well-being, and at the end of the day, this is about economic security for families in Pittsburgh. Look, I don't have to tell you that COVID-19 has taught us a lot about ourselves, but it's also told us and taught us that we can do hard things. Old dogs can learn new tricks. We are able to adapt and change. And I know together we can close the wage gap once and for all. Thank you again for allowing us to join you in this partnership, and we're looking forward. Let's get going.
Thank you so much, Kim. And next we will hear from the Senior Vice President of AAUW, Gloria Blackwell.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Kim, for your very wonderful remarks on behalf of AAUW. And the only thing that I would like to add to that is from the first moment that we heard from Pittsburgh, from the mayor's office, from the Gender Equity Commission about seeing if we could form a partnership. We knew that there was a level of commitment and dedication there that would hopefully, lead us to a great partnership. And from the moment I was there last December, of all times, I came to Pittsburgh in December in order to meet with everyone. I really enjoyed just the enthusiasm and also the prep work that had been done, showing that, the care to ensure that the partnership was going to make sure that it had an impact on the members of the community who certainly would benefit it from the most was really important, because AAUW is a firm believer in research, and we were quite pleased that the research had been done. And since that time, we've had multiple meetings and collaborations and a lot of back and forth. And it's just been really gratifying to see this partnership come to fruition. And so, as Kim has said already, we really congratulate everyone involved. We're excited about this partnership, but more than anything, we're excited about the impact that bringing Work Smart to the Pittsburgh community will have on the women in your community. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Gloria. And last but certainly not least, we have with us the Honorable William Peduto. Welcome.
Thank you, Director, and thank you for putting this together today. I first want to start out by thanking our Gender Equity Commission. Last year, they put out a report which I would say most cities would not want to put out. It showed through quantifiable evidence that racism and sexism not only exist in Pittsburgh, but in many cases are greater than in other cities that are comparable to us around the country. In many ways, we ripped off the Band-Aid and we showed where the scars are. a history of creating systems that did not treat everybody equitably. That has become the basis for where we are today. An understanding that if we are going to change that, it is going to mean changing the system itself. That the heavy lift has to involve much more than a simple policy change coming out of City Council or the creation of a new program coming out of the mayor's office. It requires a systematic change in the city of Pittsburgh itself. And that can't happen through government. It can only happen through the type of partnership that has been put together. To Dr. Jesse Ramey and the board of the Gender Equity Commission, I want to thank you for not only presenting a report, but doing the hard work now, which is going through that report and recognizing where the priorities need to be. Understanding that the reason that God created time is so that we didn't have to do everything at once. And understanding where the greatest influence will be in the city government and the Gender Equity Commission of the city of Pittsburgh in being able to bring systemic change. Now, like I said earlier, it cannot simply be done through city government. It requires strong partners in our philanthropic community, in our nonprofit community, in our corporate community, and within our major institutions throughout the city of Pittsburgh. And as we look at this example and the work that we set out to do, once again, we will hold ourselves accountable by quantifiable means. We will measure the difference of salaries of women and women of color in the city of Pittsburgh and hold ourselves accountable to assure that the disparity goes down until the point where people are paid an equal salary for equal work. And as the city of Pittsburgh, we will lead by example to show others how it not only helps to build a better workforce, but a better team of more talented individuals who will have the benefit of making a better city, just as it will a better company, a better organization, or a better institution. Let us start by living by the words that we are calling for, and let us be guided by the leadership and the professionalism of the nonprofit organizations that are a part of this and the dedicated volunteers and staff that are helping to implement it. On behalf of the people of the city of Pittsburgh, to all those that spoke before me, I want to say thank you for taking this important and large step forward.
Thank you so much, Mayor. We appreciate you. And definitely your leadership. So I told everyone you were in for a treat, but don't leave yet. We are not done. My esteemed colleagues, Amanda and Sarah, have additional information. And then I'll kind of Pittsburghize at the end how you can get involved, what you can do. Pittsburgh, this is your call to action. Join us. So Sarah, I believe you are going to kick it off and help everyone understand how they can get involved and what some next steps are.
Yes, thank you, Janet. So I'm going to speak from the AAUW Work Smart perspective. There are many ways that folks can become involved in this initiative. Any Pittsburgh resident may go to pittsburghpa.gov/GEC/workforce-equity and sign up for a Work Smart workshop. And these are virtual workshops. We welcome individuals and organizations to promote these workshops and engage residents to register. Currently, all Work Smart workshops are conducted online. However, we do envision a post-COVID-19 future where we will engage local organizations to host in-person workshops. In the meantime, local businesses, workforce development agencies, and community groups can support the work through referring clients to attend workshops, incorporating the workshops into existing workforce development program and support services. For example, encouraging job club members to attend a workshop, Work Smart workshop, and then providing follow-up and ongoing support. Contacting our executive director to learn more about the initiatives and to explore ways to partner. We are always open to new ideas. And we also, of course, encourage our philanthropic community to consider lending your support to help us sustain this work in the long term. These are just a few ideas. As I mentioned, we very much want to hear from you and want to engage with you. And with that, I will turn it over to my colleague, Amanda.
So we at the Gender Equity Commission recognize through our approach that it is, of course, important to empower individuals to engage in self-advocacy in the workplace and when negotiating to ensure they are paid according to their duties, not their identity. We do, though, recognize how important it is for those arbitrary and oppressive gender-based barriers to be removed. And that means support and commitment from regional leaders and employers. At the start of 2021, the Commission will make another announcement of a Workforce Equity Council and Workforce Equity Pledge. We will be looking to thought leaders, educators, and employers who are committed to closing the gender and race wage gap to help us achieve economic equity in our region. I'll turn it back over to Janet.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Greater Pittsburgh, this is your call to action. Simply said, if not us, then who? If not now, then when? Let's get started. Let's change not only Greater Pittsburgh, we'll change the city, we will impact and change the state, which will impact and change the world. You have the opportunity to come on board with the city of Pittsburgh. This is all about partnership. You've heard from some of our esteemed partners earlier. This isn't just the city of Pittsburgh. As Mayor William Peduto stated, government cannot do this alone. Your call to action. Come and join us. Be a part of this great movement. We are going to change the city of Pittsburgh for the better. So we appreciate everyone, all the presenters, all the speakers. Thank you so much for your time.